In a world chasing clicks and quick hacks, we're here for what actually lasts. This is the long game, where PR meets relationship marketing. Real talk, real leaders, and real results. We're cutting through the noise to show how credibility, connection, and consistency builds brands that endure. So whether you're an overwhelmed digital marketer, a business owner trying to stand out, or a thought leader ready to just level up, welcome to the long game. Because building something that lasts takes heart. So let's welcome your host, Jeremy Knopf and Jessica Suter. Let's go. Yay! It's that time of week. It is the long game, and today we have a very special episode for you today. We've not met before. Hey, I'm Jessica Suter, and my awesome co-host, that's Jeremy Knopf, PR expert. And we have a special guest with us today, the one and only Mark Schaefer, author, speaker extraordinaire. But he is a keynote speaker, university educator, consultant, author of over 12 books. I just heard about a new one that I haven't even heard about today. So I know what I'm going to be doing right after the show. I will be picking up those new books. But today we're talking about the power of personal branding in the era of AI. Definitely need to hear all about this. But before we can dive into it, we got to bring in our special guest, Mark Schaefer. Hey,
Hi.
Mark.
Hi there. It's good to be with you.
Good to have you. Now you're telling me about all these new books. I got to check it out. But super cool. One of the things that you said before we dive into the questions, your book Audacious, which is about AI, that first of its kind to have a cover that consistently changes. It's like a QR code. You hover your phone over it and it consistently changes. That is
it's
incredible.
if you write a book called Audacious, the damn thing better be audacious.
Agreed.
There's a puzzle inside the book. There's surprise Easter egg QR codes. So it's a fun book to read and inspiring, I think.
I agree.
That cover concept is wild to me, by the way. Like I've never seen anything like that.
No, it really is the first of its kind. And I'm particularly proud of it because, how do you disrupt the 250-year-old publishing industry? How do you do something in the publishing industry that's never been done before? And, the book is really about disruption, about, the PR world, the marketing world. It's so boring. And there's statistics in the book that show how boring most marketing is, how boring most advertising is. And so it doesn't take much, but it does take intent to be a little disruptive. The bots are coming, but we still own crazy. That's our superpower. We need to tap into it.
Sarah Connor had some warnings about that.
Yeah. And Mark, I mean, that's one of the things I really love about you. One of the many is that you really talk about how to stand out. And especially now, while personal branding, I mean, you've been talking about personal brands and branding for years, belonging to the brand, really telling people what they need to know in order to not have boring marketing. But even more important now in the world of AI, the rise of personal brands, needs to increase. But why do you feel like it's essential more than ever now in the era of AI?
Well, there's a little story I tell. I teach a class in personal branding, and this is really how I lead off the class. When ChatGPT came out, I immediately saw the potential to disrupt everything that we do. And I called up a friend of mine. He's a famous tech analyst in New York, Shelley Palmer. And I said, Shelley, did you try this thing? What do you think? He said, I'm terrified. He said, I have written a blog post almost every day of my life for 15 years. I asked ChatGPT to write a blog post about this topic I was working on in my voice. And in 3 seconds, it did a perfect job. He said, I am 80% replaced. Now, on the surface, that does seem terrifying. But a better question is, what's the 20%. And the 20% is his personal brand. Shelley is known. He's trusted. He's beloved. And he has nothing to worry about. People will always read his blog. They will always see his speeches. They will always read his books. Because in this world of increasing misinformation and deep fakes, I don't even know what to believe on Instagram anymore. We're gonna continue to turn to the people that we love and trust, and that is the role of the personal brand. The personal brand is our last defense against AI. It's the last thing we have. And you're right. I've been shouting this from the rooftops for 10 years. Every class I teach, when I do guest lectures at universities, I beg university students, even if you have a job and you're happy in your job, you don't know what's going to happen. The investment in your personal brand is like an investment in an insurance policy for your career. And it's the most important thing we can be doing right now.
Mark, you talked about deep fakes. Are you trying to tell me that those polar bears doing competitive diving are not real?
Well, I'll let you make your own decisions about that. But that's the problem with Instagram today. It's taking too much brain power to say, wait a minute. I think it suggests there's room in the world for an AI free social media platform, because
that would be beautiful.
I don't want to think about it. But that's why the personal brand is important. On my blog posts, I have a badge now that says 100% human content to assure people that this is me. It's really me. I'm not going away. What you see is what you get. And this is true. And this is real, because in the near future, humanity will be a luxury. Humanity will need to assure people that this real person is connecting with you.
I watched a movie, Davy Crockett, and at the beginning of the movie, it said 100% made without the use of AI. I think you're so spot on. Like the art that we create, the handwritten notes, the stuff that is just truly us. People love that human touch, and that's the things that are going to get remembered and kept and, sought after. Your watercolor paintings, that you did the brush strokes to those, those are all things that I think you're spot on. Humanity is a luxury that, where you can come up with audacious covers and things like that, to stand out. And I think we're going to start seeing a lot more of that, where people are going to be saying this is 100% me, not AI, because I see people getting called out for AI now, anywhere on social, because there's some telltale signs.
Oh yeah, it's become so obvious. And one of the things I've been thinking a lot about, and this is one of the things I write about in the Audacious book, and I think this will particularly resonate with you, is that, look, I mean, AI is going to take over a lot of content, but I am 100% sure that human art will persist. So AI might make a song like Bruce Springsteen, but I'm only going to pay money to go to a show to see The Boss, right? We're always going to love our favorite authors, our favorite painters, our favorite poets, our favorite musicians. And we're also going to love our favorite podcasters, our favorite bloggers, our favorite video people. But to stand out, our content must approach the level of art. So because that's what will persist. So what is art? Art it's an interpretation of the human experience. And that's why you and I connect so well, right? Because we both talk about this a lot. And there's this great quote from Philip Kotler. He was on a podcast about 4 years ago. He's like 92, 93 years old. He said, what's missing in the world today is what's missing with brands today is a real human voice, accessible, friendly, even vulnerable. Now, we don't hear vulnerability a lot when it comes to brands and companies, but that's what's part of art, right? it doesn't mean, oversharing. It just means sharing your human experience to connect with people on an emotional level. That's art. And that's
Mhm.
what will persist even when AI, takes over so much.
Well, we're seeing that play out in real time with the backlash against Coca-Cola with their recent AI ad. McDonald's just had one, I think it was last week, and everyone's absolutely up in arms about this. People hate this. They love the real art, the real human connection. So I agree with what you're saying. Jess, I don't know about you, but Mark kind of reminds me of the guy in every science fiction movie, the scientist who's telling everyone how things are going to go and what they should and shouldn't be doing, and nobody listens to him,
Well, I think it's genius that you're telling the students like to start now, because you're right. Like I mean, I had the same thing for myself when I was working at a corporate job and then ended up getting let go. But because I had built relationships with people and stayed connected with them on social, they followed me. And we see this a lot with different individuals that truly embrace the human connection component and the personal branding. So I'd love to dive in more of that, like what kinds of things we should be doing. I love you're talking about the art piece. And then how does that translate to, creating your personal brand online and off? But people follow people. They follow where they're going to feel safe, connected, belonging, as you talk about too, belonging to the brand. But it's the people. It's not the logo and the AI.
Right. Right. You can't fall in love with a jingle or a website, but you fall in love with people. And I think that's definitely the way the world is moving. And I think it also shows that small to medium-sized businesses are better positioned to win in this world
Mm-hmm.
than the big companies. Because, for those of us that have, small to medium-sized businesses, people generally know us. They know us as humans. We're the owners. We're the founders. We're the face of the business. I mean, who do you love at Verizon? Who do you love at Ford Motor Company? Right? Probably nobody. So, and and
Yeah.
and and they're stuck. They're stuck in this advertising world. That if they don't have their big ads, they're not going to have anything.
Mark, you bring up some interesting points here. You talked about the smaller and medium-sized businesses compared to like the Verizons and the AT&Ts and whatnot. And I think people are annoyed, for lack of a better term, at all this. Everything's a subscription nowadays. Everything is all these added fees, all this extra stuff, no real humans to talk to. So let's talk a little bit about, what these small and medium-sized businesses, how should they be leveraging AI specifically as it relates to their personal brand?
Well, there's a couple questions inside of that. And, first let me say that, I don't use personal brand as a hammer looking for a nail, right? I mean, there's lots of ways businesses can be successful without a personal brand. But if you want to start out in the content ecosystem of our world, I think it's an important thing to do. If you want to have security and assurance in your own career, I think it's an important thing to do. But look, if I go to the store and buy a ladder, I'm going to buy a ladder and I want to be left alone. I don't care about a community or a personal brand, right? Sometimes I just buy a hamburger because it tastes good. So there's lots of ways to be successful in business. Now, I I have this new book out about how AI changes your customers, and I end the book. There's a lot of stuff in this book that's a little scary because humanity is being rewired, and there's no going back. It's over, right? We are changing. Our children are changing right before our eyes, and there's no going back. And so there's aspects of AI that can be scary, but there are also aspects of AI that are very empowering and exciting. And I think to answer your question, it's about reimagining yourself of how big you can be with AI. How much bolder can you be? How much more creative can you be? How much more impactful can you be? And so I'll give you an example. So I'm at a point in my career where I love teaching people, helping, nurturing, mentoring. And it's frustrating because mentoring is so much of a one-on-one type of sport,
Mhm.
right?
Yeah.
And so I was just thinking about, how do you scale this? How do you scale this time and attention? So I did an experiment and I created a MarkBot. I
Mhm.
uploaded all my blog posts, all my 13 years of podcasts, all my classes, all my speeches, all my workshops, all my strategic frameworks, and my values,
Yep.
and how I think about things. And it's on my website. It's for free and it's private. I don't even know who does it. I don't know what people ask, but people have given me feedback that they love it, and
Mhm.
the personality and the values is coming through. And
Mhm.
one lady had an interesting uh, comment about it, because one of the things built into the bot is, to really get to help people, you have to ask questions. So I don't
Mhm.
want it to be a chat GPT where you just ask a question and then it gives you the answer. It needs to ask you questions back to get
Mhm.
clear about where you really want to go. So it started asking this person questions, and she said, "You wouldn't believe it. I spent so much time on those questions because I didn't want to let you down."
Aw. It's
Isn't that
because of the personal connection too. Yeah.
because they
Mhm.
really thought they were interacting with me? It felt like it
Mhm.
was interacting with me. And
Now, did
and
she know that it was a bot, or did she think that it was actually you?
no, no, no. It's it's a bot. Yeah,
Okay.
Mhm.
it's a bot. There's no face. I want to be completely transparent about it,
Yeah.
but it does sort of, and that was the hard part. It
Mhm.
wasn't uploading all the content. The hard part was getting it to actually act like me. And
Yeah. But it's because you had all those resources available. Like when we use it too, like when we're helping clients with stuff, it gives us more time to do the in-person or personal branding items because we can do some things like that with loading it because they loading the AI tool up to train it to get to that level. But it does take some time and the resources. Luckily, you already had all those things set up and published already or on hand
yeah, and I
to
couldn't have done that if I hadn't worked on my personal brand for 15
exactly. You
years.
Yeah.
couldn't have
Yeah,
done that.
yeah,
Starting from like I love to say all the time, starting from the inside out, like what are your values? What do you care about? What is your tone of voice? So, the content and how do you answer things? Then you can spend time like a local coffee shop, for example, to get more in-person stuff. So they're using some AI tools too, but they do date night with a book. And they'll, it's kind of like a blind date that you can come in and read a book and then sit down and have some coffee, like to create some of those in-person experiences too, as well as, creating more time to create videos of their team doing things, making drinks, whatever. It saves them time to focus then on some of the personal brand and personality that's going to shine through. Like you said, the small, medium-sized companies are very well positioned to do
they
this
are.
because
Yeah.
you get to know them on a deeper level.
This is their time to shine, really.
Hmm.
And
Yeah.
there's so much changing in the world today, and this for the big companies, they're wedded to contracts and they're wedded to relationships with advertising agencies, and there's sort of like this infrastructure holding dull in place. And
Hmm.
and then there's the legal department, right? And there's fear of change. There's fear of upsetting your boss. It's a fear of doing something different in your industry, because the industry is a country club. It's always done things a certain way. And so fear is the greatest reason that people are boring, that they're afraid to try something new and step out and be seen and be heard and be discovered.
100%. I think some people are afraid that too, that, self-promotional or whatever, they want to kind of not put themselves out there. But what are some ways that you think you mentioned podcasting, blog writing, what are some other things that are really working today to help people shine within their personal brand?
Well, before I do answer that, and I will, I want to
Mhm.
pick up on this phrase that you used about self-promotion.
Mhm.
And this is the biggest mistake that people make with personal branding.
Yep.
The personal brand is not about you and how wonderful you are. Personal brand is how you serve others.
Yes.
You and how
Mhm.
wonderful you are. That's great. That's a hobby. But what I want to see when I go to someone's website is, here is the problem I solve, and here is
Mhm.
how I uniquely solve it. That is your personal brand. And I would say 90% when I go to someone that's in personal services, insurance, real estate, consulting, whatever, right? Most of the site is about how wonderful they are, and
Yeah.
nobody cares. They want to know, I've got a problem. Please help me. What I want to see is a video that says, let me
Mhm.
tell you why I'm in this business. Let me tell you why I will never let you down. And you're on this website today because you're afraid. You're afraid of what's happening in the world and you need help. And I am not going to let you down. And I'm going to be with you every step of the way. That's what people need to hear today. But what is the problem that you're solving? And how do
Mhm.
you uniquely solve it? So I just wanted to pick up on that because it's a
I love
real,
that. That's spot
yeah,
on. I knew you would go that way, because I know you, and that's so true. It's like you reframe it because
yeah,
it
because it wouldn't be, because look,
seriously.
I hate self
Mhm.
promotion. I
Mhm.
often joke I'm successful in spite of myself because I just can't. I look at like what some of my peers do, and I just think I could never do that.
Yeah.
I
You get
just
secondhand
can't do it.
embarrassment.
I just can't. I just can't do it. But you don't have to, because if you show up in a way that's helpful and generous, and you're really trying to help people with their problems. I mean, it's not really about self-promotion. It's just about, making a dent of positivity in the world. Now, this gets to the second part of your question, which is, how do you do that? And it's, a lot of people get overwhelmed about this point because they think, oh my gosh, Facebook and LinkedIn and YouTube, oh my gosh, and podcasts, where do I start? What do I do? It's not overwhelming. It's not. You've only got three choices, basically, maybe four. So a lot of people think about, oh, what platform do I use? That's the wrong question. The right question is, what content do I create to tell my story to the world? If it's a personal brand or a corporate brand, the content is the fuel of the brand. So that's the first choice. And really, you have four choices. You either write something like a blog, you create video like something on YouTube, you do audio like a podcast, or it could be images like you'd put on Instagram or Pinterest. And one of the myths about branding is that you have to be everywhere doing everything. And I disagree, because to stand out today, you have to be great. And you can't be great in 12 places. So you
Mhm.
pick one. And the one you pick is you pick it because you love it, because it's going to bring you joy. And don't worry about the competition. There's only one you. There's only you're going to tell these human stories that only you have, and you're going to be distinctive in that way. You can find your own audience in that way. But if you like to write, be a writer. If you've always wanted to try a podcast, do that. Because if you're not feeling joy,
Mhm.
your audience will see it and you'll quit. And you can't quit, because creating a personal brand is not a project, it's a lifestyle. If you really want to go for it, it becomes part of your life every single week, maybe every single day for the rest of your life. And it doesn't have to be overwhelming. And even if you can spend an hour a week on it, it's possible. Then once you have that content, let's say you have a video. Now, social media is the distribution system. right? You can make it into a reel. You can make, I mean, you're the best at this, and you can put it on TikTok. You can put it on YouTube. You can put it on Facebook. You can put it on Twitter/X. So that's not where the focus should be. The focus should be creating the best quality, helpful, generous content you can do at least once a week. And what's a great video, Jessica? 3 minutes. So let's say you have an hour a week. You have an hour a week to work on your personal brand. That's all. How many 3-minute videos, if you put a little thought into it, how many 3-minute videos can you make in an hour? Maybe you can make 3. Maybe you can make 4. Guess what? If you can make 4 3-minute videos in an hour, that's a month's worth of content. Right? And then you hand that content over to somebody like you, and you create the magic to put it all over the social media, right? So it takes focus, it takes commitment, it takes consistency, and it doesn't happen right away. It is the long haul. It's definitely the long haul. It takes the long haul, and it pays off in the long haul. But it's not rocket science, but you just have to start and stick with it.
Mark, when it comes to making content, one of the mistakes I see people make a lot is they over rely on the AI to create the content for them. And it just creates this dry, soulless trash. So what advice do you have for somebody who's maybe afraid to get out there and really kind of let their personality shine? And they're like, oh, well, I don't have a lot of time. I don't really want to put myself out there. So I'll just let ChatGPT write my post for me. What advice do you have for somebody who's in that position?
Well, I mean, I understand that. Well, first of all, I don't want to completely condemn ChatGPT because, like I've got a friend, English is not her first language, right? So ChatGPT is enabling her. I have a friend who, by her own definition, is just a terrible writer. She always has been a terrible writer. And she's come alive. She said, for the first time in my life, I can blog. I might even be able to write a book. So, I mean, we got to look at the positives of it too. Now, I do believe very, very strongly that you do have to add your own personality. You do have to add your own story, or you're just going to turn into the AI slop that's consuming our world, this pandemic of dull being created by AI. You're just going to become part of it. So I don't want to really condemn AI, but you have to think about, how do I use AI, like I said, to be bigger, to be bolder, to be more impactful, to say, look, I'm going to be able to put this in English. I'm going to put this in sentences that people can really love and understand. And I think that's wonderful. I think it's fantastic. But we do have to focus on what makes us special and get back to the first comment I made around art. It really is approaching art, or you're going to just be part of the slop. And I also want to say, this is not necessarily easy. This was not hard for me. I am still a work in progress, right? I want to be Jessica when I grow up. This is a true story. I'll tell you this true story. I wrote a blog post, I think it was last week, maybe 2 weeks ago, where I had this experience where I did a consulting session at McKinsey. I was at the end of the day. I was 5 hours with McKinsey, my hero company, my favorite company, the greatest thought leaders in the world. It's the end of the day, 5 hours with McKinsey. I'm standing on the 64th floor of the World Trade Center. The sun is setting down on Manhattan, and I feel depressed. And I just didn't expect that. And I felt depressed because in that moment, I had no more mountains. I mean, all this work I've been putting into my personal brand, believe me, my first week as an entrepreneur, I was not at McKinsey. I was at the Farragut Lions Club eating a cold chicken sandwich, right? This is true. My first customer was a caterer.
Lord.
It's true. And now I'm at McKinsey, And you know, I talked to some people. I said, "Gosh, I'm thinking about writing this blog post, but I'm afraid. I'm afraid because it's like, well, people think, geez, what a jerk. He's so successful that he feels depressed." And I thought,
Yeah.
this is an unexpected, unique human experience.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to take the risk. I'm going to tell that story. So I had to force myself to do it. And I got more comments on that blog post than anything else for this year. And this, my friends, is what I mean about approaching art. I'm not an artist. I'm not a novelist, but I'm interpreting the human experience, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so many people said, "Oh my gosh, Mark, I never thought I would hear something like that from you." Or "I felt that too one day. Let me tell you about that."
Yeah.
And so that is the content that's going to cut through. And like I said, I'm still a work in progress. I'm still learning myself, but maybe I'll get to Jessica level someday.
Okay. Oh, you're sweet. But no, I think that really, honestly, people have felt that before. I've, felt that on different levels. Now, I was not Mackenzie, but definitely. And I feel like once we open ourselves up and share, not always just the bright and shiny, but, just like lessons learned or human experience moments, like you said, that's what makes people feel comfortable, connecting with us and trusting us and getting to know us on a deeper level. 30 minutes goes by way too fast when we're
I
talking to
know.
you.
I was watching the clock
I
thinking,
know. I'm like,
I'm not
"No,
ready.
no,
I'm
no,
not
I'm not
ready for
ready."
this to end. I'm not ready
I
for
know.
it to end. I hope she'll
Well,
let me go a little longer.
yeah, you can for sure. But first, I want to let people know where they can connect with you, maybe read that blog post, see your content. Is it thebusinessgrow.com?
Yes,
Right?
businesses grow.
Mhm.
Yeah. You don't have to remember my name. And that's why I called it Businesses Grow, because I knew nobody could spell Schaefer. So Businesses Grow. I've got a blog, it's free. You can find my books, the books we talked about today, all my social media connections. Yeah, I'd love to hear from you.
Yeah, and also, if you guys wanna get the recap of this, I'm sure you will, because you definitely he dropped so many, like, great knowledge bombs that you almost need to listen to it again, and replay it, but we'll also have it in written form so you can send it to someone else, like, maybe if you're working at a company right now and you're like, "Hey, I really do need to focus on my personal brand too, it'll help us." You can send them this video as a little hint, hint, "I need to start, working on this for us." It benefits all of us to grow your brand for the long game. But well, Mark, I'm so thankful for you to be
Thank
on
you.
here
I'm
today.
thankful for you guys.
This is amazing. I definitely want to have you back because I feel like we just scratched the surface.
Oh,
I'm
please,
going to get your
please
books
do.
and have you back on. So many great comments too, where people have found value in this. So
Well, congratulations on your show. I think the long game, it's an important topic, and I look forward to hearing more shows from you. And congratulations on your success to both of you.
Thank you.
thank you so much. Yeah,
Hey,
next week
Jess,
yeah,
something I want to add before we wrap up
yeah.
here is I would encourage all the listeners to head over to Amazon, look up his book, and check out that QR code thing on the cover, like he was talking about. Definitely worth seeing. And
Yeah, it's
buy
pretty
the book
cool.
while you're there, right? Pick it up.
Yeah, definitely. Definitely. His books will not disappoint, I promise you. But next week we'll have Tracy Phillips here from Testamatical. She'll be talking about how to create those interview videos that we all need. We always ask people for testimonial videos, and it's really hard to get sometimes from clients, but how to build that social proof. She has the formula for that. So you want to join us back next week. But for all of you, I hope you have a great remainder of your week. Congrats, Mark, on all your success and just everything that you've been doing. I hope you have a great rest of your week too. And thank you again for being on.
Thanks, everyone.
Thanks,
Take care,
everyone.
everyone.
Thanks, Mary. Bye.